So I'm not always the greatest when it comes to making content consistently. That's probably pretty obvious looking at my recent uploads. I have a couple of ideas brewing at the moment, but for now I'm going to tell you about a story I helped tell in a different medium. The Jungle Book. Back in January I started working as an assistant director on my high school's production of The Jungle Book. The other AD and my partner in crime was Vimal, who you might recognize from some of my previous masterpieces, Kids Know Nothing, as well as that one Reddit post of him with a pipe in his locker. By this point, the two of us make a pretty good team. Our job was to help the director realize her vision, and it wouldn't be easy. By this point, I had already had a lot of experience managing shows, but this one was to be our most ambitious and expensive yet. A huge ensemble cast, a jungle gym style set made out of industrial scaffolding, and a giant tiger puppet controlled by 3 people. It would be challenging, but damn if I wasn't excited to try. By the end of February, we put together a cast and crew well over 50 people. A lot of which I was already friends with from previous shows. I'd even directed a couple in Baggage. Go watch Baggage! Everyone who worked on the show was just really awesome. It was just a really fun time. On a side note, we had a Discord server. That Discord server had existed for about a month before our director actually joined it, and by then everyone had had plenty of time to post some questionable things they didn't really want her to see. The automated message, "Miss Bradley Rocks has joined, you must construct additional pylons," sent shivers down the spine of everyone on the server. What followed was a mass meme purge as everyone tried to hide from our director how horrible they truly are. My DMs were full of people freaking out, so I created a sanctuary channel where everyone could meme freely. Anyway, let's get back to it. With our team fully assembled, we could finally start rehearsing. For a good 2 months, we were in crunch time, and everything that could go wrong did. Lights weren't working, people weren't showing up, boxes weren't getting moved. For some reason, the boxes were actually the hardest part for people to get. I'll let our stage manager Yuvraj explain. How do you feel about the state of the boxes during Jungle Book?
Failure, dude.
I also built and then subsequently broke the light system for our snake puppet, requiring multiple rewires and an eventual complete replacement of the system. But just like everything else in the show, it came together in the end. People weren't even off book by the end of April, but the sheer passion for the show as well as the fear of death by catapult from our director pushed people to get the show ready by opening night. During the last week before the show opened, I basically lived at school. Rehearsal end times were listed as when we're done, which usually meant I wasn't getting home until 8. But I didn't mind. I was having a great time. Just like the rest of the cast and crew, I was really excited to share this show with everybody. Which is good, because by the time it was in a state decent enough to actually present, we had less than a week before we opened for easily the most critical of audiences, elementary school students. Our first show was on the 30th of May for a group of maybe 9 to 10-year-olds. This jungle soundscape came down, the lights went up, and the show began. What followed was the fruits of 4 months of our labor. Monkey fights, wolf dances, flashing lights, and a touching story about family. The kids loved it. They laughed, cried, and yelled at Baloo when he came up the aisles. And when the curtain call happened, they all ran up on stage to greet the cast. High off our first show, we returned to class and rested for what would be a hellish following day. We had 2 shows on the 31st, already making the day quite tiring. But to make matters worse, our AC was broken. The cast had to be careful to not slip on the pools of sweat that were forming on stage, and Cameron. Oh, poor Cameron. As Baloo, his costume basically consisted of a carpet that he was wearing on stage, and under those hot stage lights and with no AC, he was boiling. We had to keep supplying him with ice to shove down his pants so he wouldn't overheat and pass out on stage. Our last show went well, and it ended with me thanking Miss Bradley and inviting her up on stage before handing the microphone to Vimal so he could deliver a horribly butchered speech. After he said the magnificent line, "Words are hard," I gestured for Yuvraj to come in and bail him out and give Miss Bradley her flowers and card. Everyone took their last bow, and just like that, the show was over. The story we had helped to craft over the past 4 months has been told, and there was nothing left to do. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people felt pretty lost after that night. I'm gonna miss working with all those awesome people. People like James, who took overnight shifts at McDonald's so that he could come to rehearsal, or Haley, who put up with me breaking the snake multiple times and still kept sewing it back together. I'm especially gonna miss all the people who aren't gonna be there next year. A lot of our stars are graduating, and I don't know what we're gonna do without them. Well, at least we gave them a good last show.